Hi friends, it's Miss Erica here, and I'm going to read a really special book. When I was a little girl, every night before I would go to bed, my dad would let us pick a book from our shelves, and we would go out on the couch, my brother and I, and we would sit on either side of him, and he would read us a story. And it was one of my most favorite memories of my dad from when I was a little girl. And we had a ton of little golden books. And little golden books, you've probably seen them before. They've got this gold strip of kind of like foil along the spine of the book here. And little golden books, they look like this on the back quite often. But we had a whole bunch of little golden books when I was a kid. And there was a couple that I kept as I grew up. And one of them is this one, How Does Your Garden Grow? And since it's the time when we're starting gardens, I thought, how fun would it be to share with you one of my favorite books from when I was a little girl, all about gardens. And this is kind of funny because the reason that we had this book is because I kind of looked like this when I was a kid. I had the same haircut, and we gardened. We had a big garden along the side of our house. So I think we got this book because it looked like me and my little brother. So the little boy, her little brother, is blonde. And you can see him in the book, and he looks just like my little brother, Tony. So it's kind of a fun story. So this is called How Does Your Garden Grow? It's written by Pat Patterson, and Brenda Clark and Debbie Perna did the pictures. An earthworm was crawling along. Suddenly, the earth around him started to crack and crumble in a most alarming way. "Hey, what's going on here?" the earthworm asked himself. He wriggled his long pink body up through the soil to find out. No wonder the earth was moving. Someone was digging with a spade. It was a girl. To the earthworm, she looked very big. The earthworm crawled to a safe corner of the garden. There he was joined by a caterpillar, an ant, and a snail. The girl, whose name was Gaily, dug, hoed, and raked. Her little brother Sebastian helped her. This was the first time Gaily had ever made a garden of her own. When the earth was ready, Gaily carefully planted some seeds. "It's raining!" exclaimed the snail. "I'm going inside my shell to stay dry." "Oh dear," said the caterpillar, crawling under the leaf at the edge of the garden. "When my fuzz gets wet, I look like a worm." "Ugh." "Don't be rude," said the earthworm. I remember wondering if bugs could really talk. I don't think they can. Maybe they can. "Actually," the ant announced, "it's not raining. That girl is watering the seeds to make them grow." When Gaily finished watering, she tried to roll up the hose. By mistake, she got all tangled up. Funny story, I still get tangled in the hose. Watering my garden is often quite complicated because I can't seem to work the hose. Later, a flock of birds flew into the garden. The earthworm was afraid of being eaten. He hid in the soil. But the sparrows ate only seeds. To frighten away the birds, Gaily and Sebastian made a scarecrow that fluttered in the breeze. The birds stayed away. "Hooray! The radishes are up," shouted Gaily a few weeks later. "But those are only green leaves," complained Sebastian. "Where are the round red parts?" "The red parts are under the ground," said Gaily wisely. "They need more time to grow." Later, Gaily dug up a radish to see how big it was. The round red part was too tiny to eat. Gailey put the radish back and packed the earth around it. As the vegetables grew, so did the weeds. Some weeds were harder to pull out than others. Once, when Sebastian pulled one out, he toppled over, just missing the earthworm, the snail, the caterpillar, and the ant. Look at that tiny little radish. It's hard to be patient and wait for a garden to grow. One day, Gailey discovered some little green bugs on the tomato plants. She went to her mother for advice. "Those green bugs are called aphids," Gailey's mother said. "They are bad for plants." "What a peculiar smell!" exclaimed the ant, after Gailey and her mother had planted flowers called marigolds around the tomatoes. The little green bugs did not like the marigolds' smell, so the aphids soon went away. I love growing marigolds, but they are smelly. They don't smell very good. "Good riddance to bad rubbish," said the earthworm. "How dare you?" replied the ant. "Some of my best friends are aphids." The argument grew so fierce that they didn't notice anyone coming. But Sebastian saw the stranger. He ran to Gailey. He shouted, "There's a tiger in your garden!" I don't think that's a tiger. Sebastian's family knew he sometimes made things sound bigger than they were, but the family was careful just in case. There was no tiger in the garden, just a large ginger cat. Then came the day that Gailey picked many kinds of delicious fresh vegetables. For a while the earthworm rode on the basket. Then Gailey saw him and put him back on the ground. The earthworm wriggled back into the garden. As he got there, Gailey and her family gave 3 cheers. The earthworm thought they were cheering for him, but they were really cheering for Gailey and her wonderful garden. Hooray! You see Gailey here bringing her family a fresh salad with veggies that she grew in her garden. Friends, I hope you'll take pictures of your gardens as they grow. We would love to see all of the vegetables that you're growing at your houses. Bye for now.